Philosophical perspectives on death. Philosophers have long been captivated by death, not merely as an end to life, but as a lens through which to explore profound questions about existence, purpose, and the human condition. By examining death, philosophical inquiry seeks to uncover insights about how we should live, the nature of fear and desire, and the boundaries of knowledge. Existential views on mortality. Existentialism, a philosophical movement associated with thinkers such as Jean-Paul Sartre, Martin Heidegger, and Albert Camus, places the reality of death at the core of its exploration of human freedom, anxiety, and authenticity. In existentialism, the awareness of our mortality shapes our understanding of life, compelling us to confront our choices, our values, and the search for meaning. Jean-Paul Sartre and Being for Itself. Sartre argued that human beings, or beings for itself, are defined by consciousness and freedom. Death represents the ultimate boundary to our freedom, an event that removes all possibilities. Although we cannot directly experience our own death, its inevitability forces us to consider our lives' limited time and pushes us to create meaning through our choices. Sartre viewed death as a challenge to live authentically, with the awareness that our existence is finite and ultimately up to us to shape. Martin Heidegger in Being Toward Death. Heidegger's concept of being toward death from being in time suggests that authentic living requires an acknowledgement of one's own mortality. According to Heidegger, most people live in denial of death, conforming to societal expectations and distractions. When individuals accept their mortality, they begin to live more authentically, with a sense of purpose and urgency. Heidegger's view is that embracing mortality enables one to live more fully and authentically, fostering a sense of ownership over one's life. Albert Camus in The Absurd. Camus, in The Myth of Sisyphus, explores the absurdity of life in light of death. He argues that life has no inherent meaning, and death underscores the absurdity of human existence. However, Camus proposes that individuals can find meaning by embracing the absurd and revolting against meaninglessness. Death, in Camus's view, forces us to acknowledge life's fragility and arbitrariness, yet paradoxically, it invites us to live fully and passionately in defiance of that absurdity. For existentialists, then, death is not simply the end of biological life, but a central philosophical problem that drives each person to confront the nature of their existence, freedom, and responsibility. Death and the meaning of life. Many philosophers argue that death plays a crucial role in giving life meaning. Without the limitation that mortality imposes, life would be an endless continuum, potentially devoid of urgency, purpose, or significance. Death as a source of meaning and urgency. The finite nature of life gives it structure, encouraging people to prioritize experiences, relationships, and achievements. The awareness that time is limited can serve as a powerful motivator, prompting people to make the most of their lives and cultivate meaningful connections and projects. Without death, life might lose this urgency and sense of preciousness. Mortality and personal growth. Knowing that life will end can inspire individuals to seek personal growth, learn, and leave a legacy. This process of self-development often stems from the realization that time is finite. Some thinkers argue that death's inevitability encourages individuals to explore what truly matters to them, focusing on inner fulfillment rather than external achievements. Death as a moral compass. The awareness of death also has ethical implications. Mortality can encourage compassion and solidarity, as recognizing the commonality of death can lead to empathy and a sense of shared human experience. Philosophers like Levinas have emphasized that death, by underlining human vulnerability, fosters moral responsibility toward others. In essence, death can serve as a reminder that life is precious, finite, and, therefore, worth living intentionally. By contemplating death, people are invited to consider how they want to spend their time, what they value, and how they wish to be remembered. Classical philosophers on death. Classical philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Epicurus provided foundational insights into death that continue to influence modern philosophical discussions. Their perspectives offer distinct approaches to understanding death's nature, significance, and impact on human life. Socrates for 70399 BC, death as a transition to knowledge. Socrates, as recorded by Plato, approached death without fear, seeing it as a possible transition to a better state. In Apology, when Socrates faces his own death, he famously states that death could be either a dreamless sleep or an opportunity to meet wise souls in the afterlife. Socrates emphasized that fearing death is irrational because it is an unknown. Fearing it assumes knowledge we do not possess. Philosophy as a preparation for death. Socrates believed that philosophy was a preparation for death. By detaching from bodily pleasures and focusing on the pursuit of knowledge and truth, philosophers come to see death as the ultimate liberation of the soul. This view reflects a belief in the immortality of the soul and the idea that the philosopher's life is one of gradual separation from the physical world in favor of the eternal world of ideas. Plato 4-7 BC. The immortality of the soul in Phaedo. Plato presents Socrates' views on the immortality of the soul. Plato argues that the soul exists before birth and continues after death, describing death as the release of the soul from the body. This belief underpins Plato's view that death should not be feared, as it is merely a transition from the physical to the ideal realm. Death as a moral transition. Plato saw death as an important moral event, separating the soul from bodily distractions and allowing it to pursue truth. For Plato, death provides an opportunity for the soul to achieve a state of purity, free from physical desires, leading to a fuller understanding of goodness and reality. Epicurus 3-1-70 BC. Death is nothing to us. Epicurus famously argued that death is nothing to us because, when death occurs, we no longer exist to experience it. Since there is no consciousness in death, fearing it is irrational. Epicurus believed that death does not harm us, as harm requires sensation, and death is the cessation of all sensation. This view was intended to alleviate the fear of death, which Epicurus saw as a major source of human anxiety. Focus on living well. Epicurean philosophy encourages people to focus on maximizing pleasure and minimizing pain in this life. As this is all that exists, death, then, is simply a part of the natural order and should not detract from living fully and contentedly. By embracing the finality of death, Epicurus hoped individuals could achieve a state of ataraxia, peace of mind, and live without fear. Each of these classical perspectives offers a unique approach to death and its role in human life. Socrates and Plato saw death as a continuation, with an emphasis on moral and philosophical growth, while Epicurus viewed death as final and encouraged a life free from the fear of the unknown. Together, these perspectives provide a foundation for understanding death that combines wisdom, rationality, and a focus on ethical and personal growth. These philosophical approaches demonstrate that death is not only an end but also a profound source of reflection on life, purpose, and the human condition. By examining mortality, philosophers provide insights that can guide us in making the most of our finite time, living with authenticity, and, perhaps, finding peace in the face of the unknown.